I know that you are a football lover, so I'm guessing that you will enjoy this
I
question.
think any other game where there are multiple players involved, like say hockey or basketball,
How does this tactical AI app work?
maybe even it will start helping the coaches in deciding the substitutions.
Your customer support or agent interactions are increasingly becoming kind of a differentiator.
How much of information can you provide to the agent so that she knows fully about the customer?
How does generative AI transform customer service engagement?
It's also very important that you don't do things just for the heck of doing things with Gen AI, because otherwise garbage in, garbage out will happen.
Hi Anirban, how are you?
Hey, hi Jaydip, I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Welcome back. We are back on our episode fifth. So this is going to be an interesting episode. So let's start with the first segment where we talk about media buzz.
Right.
And talking about media buzz, I recently came across an interesting article in Google's DeepMind website. I know that you are a football lover, so I'm guessing that you will enjoy this question that I'm going to ask you. But I'm going to read some stuff from the note that I have taken from the website for our show. So basically, the article discusses about tactical AI, which is an AI assistant for football tactics developed by Google's DeepMind in collaboration with Liverpool Club. And I
Right.
believe that this tactical AI agent is targeted to football coaches, and it utilizes a generative AI and predictive AI engine to optimize player setup for corner kicks.
Right.
This is for them to achieve more perfection and predict exactly where and how it's going to land, I believe. And it aims to revolutionize the sports by assisting coaches in strategic decision making and offers insights into potential applications beyond football. That is obviously the case. Now, I just wanted to pick your brain on how does this tactical AI app works. I'm sure you must have read that article, so I'm just
Yeah.
sort of starting with that question. And what kind of specific benefits that a coach can expect from this kind of application, specifically on tactical AI?
Hmm. Yeah. So this is a very, very interesting stuff, right? I mean, especially for football fans like me.
Yes.
And it's very interesting. So, what's happening is as football is evolving and as more and more uh, data and science is getting involved, right? From players' physiology and all those things to the tactics and strategies and everything. So now there are things like there are certain things called set pieces in football, right? Where the dead ball is hit like corner kick or penalty or free kick, so on. And teams try to get advantage of those situations to score goals. So the team which is defending, it has a great challenge to stop the other team from scoring. Now, what happens here is uh, because there are so many players there, so the coaches have to decide how to play the corner, which side should it go, near post, far post, or towards the goalkeeper, away from the goalkeeper, and all those things. And then you have to decide which player should be, positioned in which position, near the goalkeeper, away from the goalkeeper, or near. If you have the defending team, then which defender should mark which forward. So lot of points are there for the coach to consider. Now, this is where AI makes a lot of difference because they can, I mean, manually it is very difficult for even if a team of analysts under a coach to go through all the videos and check all the corners and all those things, right? But for AI, it is very easy. So you just say these are the corners from whatever many thousands or millions of matches, and they will look at all of that and gather this thing. And so this is where this tactic AI comes in, and it is able to tell the coach that okay, if we are playing against this team, let's say Liverpool is playing against Manchester City, and City has these 11 players on the field, and then you can, if you get a corner, you can expect City to put the players like this, so you should try to do this. Or if City gets a corner, how do you place your defenders, and those kind of things. And then they're able to correctly predict that if this guy takes a shot and this thing, which player will actually get the first touch. And they have been very very successful in rightly predicting. So this is a very unique combination of both predictive and generative AI, where they are predicting the outcome and what to do, and they're also kind of helping the coach decide how to play right against the team which is there, in terms of whether you are the attacking team or defending team, so that you get more advantage. And the great thing is that whatever recommendations the system generated was actually better than the human things, although not by much, but still better than what the human experienced coaches are able to do.
Wow, I mean, this is taking football as a game to another level, right?
Absolutely.
We have heard of strategies inside a room, gathering all the players together, or between the coaches and the management, um, and planning a specific game and so on. You know, controlled by AI and technology is totally it kind of opens up a new door altogether. Perhaps probably extending the possibilities to explore other games as well. What could be like some similar other games that you think where a similar application can be probably extended, um, like this one, the tactic AI in football, right?
Yeah, so I think any other game where there are multiple players involved, like say hockey or basketball, those kind of games, it is very very easy to extend this this program, right? Hockey is quite similar to football. Only thing is you have a stick, but then again you have corner kicks and so many other things. So how do you do that? Similarly, basketball, when you're attacking, how do you attack? Which from which side? Which player should take on which other player, and those kind of things. So I think this has a huge huge potential in terms of becoming the main assistant to the coach, right? And helping him or her to figure out what would be the best strategies to for a particular set piece, right? Not even the full
Mm.
game, but the full game is also
Mm.
there. But even for a set piece, like you get a corner kick or a penalty or something, then for that moment, what should be the best item to do? So that's where I think this can be extended, and it can also be extended in solo games. But that is already happening to a large extent in things like tennis and all, where because it's 1-to-1, so it's easier. But I think going ahead, we'll see a lot more sports, getting similar assistants.
Yeah, I think one important point that you mentioned, I took a note of that, is that currently it is happening at a set piece, meaning specific kind of static position, where, like, for example, corner kick, you actually
Mhm.
put the ball the corner of the ground and then take a kick, right? Similarly,
Right.
maybe taking a penalty, it'll be a
Correct.
similar approach, right? Or maybe you're taking what do you call that, outside from the
Free kick.
free kick, yes.
Yeah.
So I think those will be the right opportunities initially to tap
Correct.
into across other sports, like similar sports like maybe hockey, and maybe even yeah, basketball is definitely there. I don't know if it is possible to do in baseball as well. uh, Baseball is more similar to cricket, I guess, not maybe
Yeah.
football. Yeah, right.
Correct.
So so what are the other benefits that you see coming from a predictive as well as generative technologies? How do you eventually see the game for those game lovers, right? How the quality of game is going to get better, both in terms of strategy as well as maybe for the outcome as well, from an analysis standpoint.
Yeah, so I think yeah, going ahead from the set pieces, from the overall game perspective, so this will probably help the coaches to decide, like if you're playing against a particular team and you know which are the players going to be there. Mostly, right? I mean, the key players and all. So, what kind of strategy should you adopt? But for example, right from the formation, do you go for 4-3-3 or 4-4-2 or whatever it is? And then do you change players, right? If they have a brilliant winger, then do you put which player to guard him, right, to negate
Yeah,
his
yeah,
influence?
yeah.
So those things will come in. How do you control the
Mm,
midfield? How do you do many other things? So I
mm.
think those are the kind of decisions that do. Maybe even it will start helping the coaches in deciding the substitutions, right? The game is going a
Yeah,
certain way.
yeah.
So then, at what point of time do you substitute? Whom do you substitute? Looking at how the different play, because it's collecting data about the different players, how they are
Mm,
running, how they are doing, how effective
mm.
they have been. So based on that, it can also help the coach give predictive input to the coach, saying that we might want to substitute player A with player B. So those kind of things can also come in.
Absolutely, absolutely. Interesting that Google has picked up this as a use case and
Right.
experimenting with that. Look forward to again what's coming from their end. But with this, we will wrap up this segment, and we will
Sure.
switch to our next segment where we deep dive into basically enterprise adoption of generative AI. Welcome to the segment two, where we focus on enterprise adoption of AI and generative AI technologies. So today I thought we are going to focus on one specific use case area which seemed to be getting
Hmm.
better traction um, within the generative AI space from an use case standpoint, and that is customer service. And partly because I think there are ton of data available within the individual businesses and their in their database in terms of in forms of chat, voice call recordings, and so on. Uh, and second is your customer support or agent interactions are increasingly becoming kind of a differentiator and an edge over your competition to provide a better experience to your customers and users, right? So, considering that, I think this is an important area where many AI companies today are focusing on. And as we speak, there are many B2C companies have already implemented or in the process of implementing um, the customer service specific Gen AI use cases within their organizations. Giving that as a backdrop, so I wanted to start asking to you, how does generative AI transform customer service engagement? If you can give us a little bit of lay of the land and how does it work, and what kind of specific capabilities that Gen AI brings to the table for businesses who are seeking to enhance customer interactions or any form of customer service um, through this particular technology.
Sure, Jaydeep. So, if you look at it, customer service always has been like the elephant in the room. I mean, everyone thinks how much should you spend on it to have the optimum customer satisfaction, and yet a lot of times it is also treated as a cost center in many companies, right? So they say my cost is increasing, but my customer satisfaction is not increasing. So what am I getting out of it? So those kind of questions also come in, right? So this is where I think Gen AI is kind of a completely revolutionary in true sense for this activities, this set of activities, in the sense that it actually allows the companies to look at uh, the whole customer service process in a holistic way, and redesign, many of them, the reimagine many of them, and ensure that the customer satisfaction levels are higher when the customer is dealing with any of the agents, whether on the pre-purchase side or post-purchase service requests, whatever the case may be, and also ensure that the employees are able to help the customers quickly, so that the operational efficiency also improves. So for the companies, there are basically, if you look at it, three different ways that they can use Gen AI to improve the customer service. Number one is what we can say is assisting the employee, the agent who's talking to the customer. So how much of information can you provide to the agent so that she knows fully about the customer, right? So if full information is there in front of her, she can see that, okay, these are the things about this customer: name, location, demographic, any other past purchase things. So whatever she wants to see quickly comes up, right? She doesn't
Like
have
a
to dig
typical
in.
CRM record.
Exactly. So she doesn't have to, and kind of dig through, and that also takes the time. No, so you tell your name and number, and they say, okay, can I put you on hold for 2 minutes, and then they will go and try to figure out the information. So that time is again taken off. Then can you provide them different scripts, right? So okay, if the customer is saying this, you should say this, you should try to push this, or if you do that, and all those kind of things. So how can you make it easy for the employee to handle different customer conversations, requests, and escalations, everything. The next part is also how much can we enable the customer to indulge in self-service. This is especially important because a lot of the Gen Z or millennials, they are very, very comfortable using technology. So they can just they say that, okay, just allow me to do self-service. I can, try to figure out, okay, where my order is, or I want to see if you have a peach color shirt of this size and all. So allow me to look into catalog, or allow me to look into my data, so that I don't need to talk to anyone, and I can do it anytime I want. I don't have to be put on hold for 10 minutes listening to your music. So customer self-service becomes the second. Third one is also in terms of the overall process. How do you reinvent it, right? Because many of these processes were set up when the technology was like 10 years, 20 years old, right? You might have made some changes here and there because of you have a CRM or CDP and those kind of things. But a lot of the way the employees interact with the customers and the way the things are supposed to go have not changed a lot for many companies. So how do you use Gen AI to see if you can, really change the process to make it easier for both the customer and the employee? So these are the three things I.
That's awesome. I think anyone, any customers or any businesses who are looking to integrate Gen AI into their customer service processes, I think these three are key pillars to consider before they dive in, right? Like you
Yeah,
mentioned, many of these processes are actually designed years ago when none of this technology existed. And with so much of
exactly.
data now available everywhere, obviously things need to be modernized before even getting into this. All right. The other question that I have, and this is more coming from a reference that you have been also talking to customers who are planning to, sort of adopt or implement customer service agent or customer service related Gen AI enabled solutions. So what would be sort of how would you advise some of these companies to kickstart the journey? I mean, what would be the starting point for them, that okay, these are at least the basics from which I can kickstart the journey and then scale it up along the way, right? Any recommendations for the beginners who are considering to start on this journey?
Yeah. So see, actually, most of the mid-size or big companies, they are under tremendous pressure to use Gen AI technologies for customer service, right? But it's also very important that you don't do things just for the heck of doing things with Gen AI, because otherwise garbage in, garbage out will happen, right? So we have to be very careful in what we are trying to change with the Gen AI technology. I mean, that is, capable of doing a lot of things, and there can be actually lots of use cases depending on the company and how they work to do. So the one thing is for quick. There are certain things that can be done for quick gains, right? So in that case, I think the employee assist part of it is very, very important. So you look at it in terms of how you are helping the agent in talking to the customer, right? So does she have all the information in front of her? And then you can also, suggest things to her, like, whether it's cross sell, upsell kind of things, or if there's a problem that has been raised, so what can be the options that she can provide, right, without thinking much. And depending on the conversation that's happening, again, you can kind of detect the sentiment based on what the customer is saying and not saying and things like that. So if there's a way, should you then get the supervisor come in, right, and take over, because if you
Hmm.
feel that this customer is really getting very angry and upset. So on the agent assist side, as sorry, the employee or agent assist side, that could be one thing. But on the other side, you also have to look for the long term things. How do you want to relook at your whole processes? And that is something that the everyone in the loop has to be involved. It's not just a customer service team, but also sales, marketing, and other teams who have to be involved in saying, okay, how do they want to do that, right? For example, in process thing, so you can finally do that, ultra, hyper personalization. So that has been
Mm.
the dream for many marketers, like one to one. So if Jaydip comes, I know what to tell him, what kind of offering to give him. But so you are now actually in a position to do that. But does your process allow you to do that? So how do you reinvent the process to ensure that whenever some customer comes, again, you have all the data in front of you to tell him, okay, this is what, we can offer you. This is what, if you are looking for a credit card, this is the kind of credit card with these things that will help you, because you're, like, for example, you like traveling or whatever other information you have, based on this I found this. So, or if some customer is calling for, some purchase related issues, what kind of things you should tell him to, again, quickly do that. So that whole process has to be thought through, and that has to be a longer term gain, and then you can implement that. So you should look at short term things that can quickly improve the whole customer's experience, and then the longer term things that will take time but will actually.
Got it. Got it. This is helpful. So, my last question: how can answer it? It's a very quick question. If a customer wants to collaborate with Prescience, so how would they go about? Can you suggest maybe what they should be, looking for?
Yeah, so I think when we talk to customers who are looking to, do something with Gen AI in the space, so one thing first we actually have to do is some kind of a consultative exercise with them to understand where they are, and also understand what are the key areas of their pain, right? What things are working well, but what things are not working well. So
Mm-hmm.
that piece is very, very important before you decide what kind of use cases you should take up first. And then
Mm-hmm.
you should do, rapid prototyping for those, see if these are working or not, and whichever are giving results, you should go for the full hop. Others, you
Mm-hmm.
can again relook and see whether it's worth making that investment, or stop them and go for some other use cases.
Mainly for
So that
validation. Mm-hmm.
validation, yeah. So that's where the rapid prototyping part is very, very helpful. And actually, we're lucky that Gen AI allows that rapid prototyping, which may not have been possible otherwise, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's take that power of Gen AI, do rapid prototyping, and then whichever use cases seem to have the most potential, let's start implementing them. So that's the.
Perfect. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. That sounds the right approach. Thank you, Anirban, again for your time today. I think both segments we gathered some valuable inputs. I look forward to again connecting with you in the future episodes. Thanks again for your time today.